What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I started working here in the shop this morning, not filming, just wanting to get a few things done on the Auto Union, stuff that I feel like wasn't really necessary to film, and it would help me get them done faster, just more trimming and cutting and whatnot. But now that I have the Beetle Pan bobbed down by 2 inches to meet the wheelbase I need for the 1000 SP body, I'm back to trimming more out of the body to get them to fit where they need to go, so the two line up. Essentially, where the old floors in the body will ultimately meet where the floors on the Beetle Pan are now, which obviously I still need to replace. What I'm doing now is I'm working on what's going to be the new engine bay of the Auto Union. I'm at an impasse here because I'm working on clearances height-wise, but also depth-wise. So what I've done, I got the 1600 dual port. I mated that up to the split case. And back a few episodes ago, you guys saw me mill out the inside of this magnesium transmission case to allow for the 200 millimeter flywheel in the dual port 1600. I really think I'm going to run into issues with height. This is the factory tall shroud. Thank you to my friend Jose from Chicago. I do have a Puma shroud here, which will get me a few inches of clearance at least. So originally that was going to go in the 700, but the fan shroud on the 700 was trimmed to fit, so I didn't have to cut a hole in my trunk. So I think, if anything, once I start test fitting this, I'll get the Puma shroud on this, which I'm pretty sure will fit on a 1600, to get me that extra couple of inches. I'm at a point where I'm going to decide whether or not I can run an upright Type 1 motor, or if I'm going to have to go to a Type 3 pancake motor, which it's turning out I should have bought in the first place. But when this motor became available, when I bought the EF Civic from my friend Kyle, I also picked this up. He had this ready to go, and it was a great deal. I did not want to pass on this. But here's where I'm at for an impasse, and I know this is a little bit of talking head. I really wanted to Corvair power it, but I want to drive it too. And as you can see, I've got a ton of fabrication I need to do before I get to that point, but I'm trying to kind of get my plan set now. If this will work with getting the body as far down as I can get it, we're good. We're going to start building around this, with or without the Puma shroud. If not, I might look for a Type 3 motor, because that'll just bolt right into that transmission and we can go. I won't have to worry about getting a Corvair motor in the first place. Then I won't have to worry about getting a Corvair motor to run backwards, or I won't have to worry about swapping my ring and pinion gear in the transmission to ultimately have 4 reverse gears in 1 forward gear, which is another common thing that guys do when they Corvair power Volkswagen transaxles. What you saw me just cut out of the floor isn't everything I need to cut out, but it was enough to get the floors to mate up. And that's where I wanted to be before I started to really kind of tentatively plan out where my body mounts were going to be. So I added that brace in at the back here to really help hold the car side to side as I cut everything out of the back. And what I really want to do is get one up here as well. I know that The cowl, everything up underneath the dashboard, all of that is holding it well. As you can see, I've got the tunnel basically where it's going to be with the floors lined up. Back here, you'll notice I cut everything out. All that's left is this last vertical upright and the top parcel shelf brace. And you may have noticed I mocked up one of the wheels on the passenger side here in the back. And what I mocked up was one of the fronts that has a 175/50 15 on it, so it's a much lower profile tire than the ones that were on the rear. I think I'm going to run 17s ultimately, since the front wheel arch is so big. But where the body sits now, which is where I think I want it to sit, or we're getting close to where I want it to sit, with the 5-inch drop plates, we are sitting incredibly low. Like, that is insane. It's tucking more than half of the wheel, and this is technically like ride height, static ride height. Now, we're still a long ways off, but holy cow, is this bringing the vision to reality. To see that wheel tucked up under there like that, and that's only a 15. I'm going to probably go to 17s, and that at just a 5-inch drop on the pan is insane. So assuming that we're right in the ballpark where I want the body and the pan to be mated up, the bad news is the vertical Type 1 motor with the stock shroud is certainly not going to fit with the trunk. And I'm not cutting holes in that Auto Union SP trunk. It's rusty, it's crusty, the edges are kind of falling apart, but the original emblem is on it, and it is rare, so I am not cutting it up. So what I think I'm going to do, and I might have to do this anyway because the motor's in the back and it's air-cooled, is a really cool air-cooled mod where the old school Beetle guys would riser their hood and kind of angle it up away from their rear window, rain tray, air scoop area. Air that comes over the roof in the back window goes right into the engine bay. So not only did I want to do that for looks, for air intake, to be able to get air into the motor, since there was never any stock vents put back here for any sort of air intake, because this was always just a boot. There was no motor back here. But also for engine clearance. If I end up sticking with this motor with an upright, I'm probably going to have to run the Puma shroud, which will get me 2 inches. That's all that's going to get me. It might be a vital 2 inches, but running the Puma shroud will bring this down a little bit. If the carburetor clears, if I can put like a real slim air filter on it like I did on the 700, I might be able to run the trunk just risered a little bit off of my hinges. So as you can see inside the engine bay, we have hit our limit as well. So this being a 15 with a 175/50, I didn't cut all the way up top of the inner wheel well because I think I'm going to band the wheel tub. It used to be here, and I think I'm going to move it out significantly with enough room to still be able to pull my valve covers off. Going lower, because this is basically stock height. This isn't aired out. Even if the body stays where it's at now, it's going to air down another few inches. So this is going to have to come up even more. I'm going to have to cut all this out up top. And I think I'm even going to have to take this upper bar or modify it up in here so I can get my tire ultimately up near the bottom part of the window. So I haven't found a solution to that yet. I'm still in the cut, drop phase of just kind of trimming and fitting. But for the first time, the body is relatively where I think I'm going to need it over the pan. So it's giving me a lot of design ideas for the frame I'm going to have to build inside the body to mate it to the pan. I also have to continue trimming up front where my custom pedal box location is going to have to be, and basically clean up from the rockers in, because underneath this part of the floor is the factory frame rail of the body, and I want to keep that. And this one on the driver's side actually carries a lot of electrical. So this is where they ran the harnesses to the rear of the car, and then it came out right here, went through a dimple die hole, and headed up and over the rear wheel well. I want to keep those as the structural frame rail that goes up the side of the body, and just build some floor extensions off of that to what will ultimately be new Beetle pans. For the first time, I'm able to mock those rear buckets out of the 6 Series in this car. And I'm really hoping these work well. I'll have to build custom brackets and a custom, mounting system for them. But the color works with the car. They're period correct looking almost because they don't have headrests. They're small little bucket seats. We're going to get that in right now and we'll see what it looks like because I can't wait any longer. And I'm actually kind of curious as to where I think a pedal box might have to be mounted. So this might give me a better idea. I might be able to make some marks on the tunnel itself as to where I think I might need to mount my pedals. And let us see how this will fit. All right, let's see if I can get in here without knocking anything over. I can't hang on to the steering wheel because that's not hooked up to anything. All right. Wow, actually, this feels pretty good. I could probably come back a little bit. Obviously, whatever I build for seat brackets will be adjustable, but this feels pretty good. I dig this. The seats feel good too. They feel like a front bucket. They've got pretty heavy bolsters. This would work well. Leave it in the comments. Do I use CSI early E24 rear bucket seats for this thing? I think that's a perfect hot rodding move. I feel like this is the essence of hot rodding, is using the rear bucket seat out of a 1980 Euromarket BMW and using it for the only seats in a 1960 Auto Union 1000 SP. Definitely into this. I think they're narrow enough too to be able to fit on both sides of the tunnel without being too crammed up against the doors as well. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode. I really wanted to get to some sort of conclusion for this episode since over the last few days I've just kind of filmed me doing things to the car. But I feel like the conclusion is that the body is down on the pan where it's ultimately going to need to be. So that's a victory. Still lots of trimming to go. But again, as I've mentioned time and time again, this is just a documentation of my experience with this car and every step along the way. Next on the list, I'm going to have to do some more trimming in the back there. As you can see, the rear wheel is in the car with me. That upper parcel shelf brace is going to have to get trimmed significantly. This brace I put in this episode is just temporary. That's to just help hold the car for now. But I'm excited. I'm excited, guys. We're getting close. I mean, seeing it this close is already getting me far more amped. Ludwig's Garage hoodies are ordered. They are at print now. I'll hopefully have them in stock very soon. I'll let you guys know as soon as they're in hand and they're ready to go out. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like and comment on this video. Let me know what you think about the CSI seats. I think they're gonna be a perfect fit for this car. Until then, be well. I'll see you guys in the next episode.